Hello, friends. How are you? I am so happy to be back at your homes. And today we're going to be learning about Memorial Day. Now, we're going to be celebrating Memorial Day this Monday. So, what is Memorial Day? Why do we celebrate Memorial Day? But before we begin, I want you to learn about what is the military. When you hear the word military, what do you think about? Who, who are they? Or who is it? So here I have a Google slide presentation. So the United States Armed Forces are the military forces of the United States of America. So they are the military forces of our country. It consists of the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard. So the Army, what does the Army do? Okay, the Army does a lot of things for our country, but mainly it defends us by land. It protects us by land. The Marine Corps, they protect us by ground, sea, and air. The Navy, it protects us by sea. The Air Force protects us in the air, by air. And the Space Force. Have you ever heard about the Space Force? Well, I learned it too because it was recently established. So, the Space Force is a new branch of the armed forces. It was established on December 20th, 2019. It protects the United States and allied interests in space through satellites. So we can see here the satellite. So it's protecting us in space by satellites. And finally, the Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard protects our coast, the coast of the United States only. Okay, so now we learn what when you hear military, you know that they're referring to the armed forces of the United States of America. So I'm going to come here to Epic, and I love Epic because, as I told you before, it has so many good books that we can use. So I wanted to read about Memorial Day. So I just typed Memorial Day and it gave me all this information about Memorial Day. So if you want to go back and read a little bit more about what Memorial Day is, you can come to Epic. So the book I'm going to be reading to you is Memorial Day. The person who wrote this book, and she did research on Memorial Day, her name is Rachel Grack. So here it says Memorial Day, celebrated on the last Monday of May, is the day Americans honor those who have sacrificed their lives for their country. So when you sacrifice, you give up something. You give up something. So here we have the table of contents. And the table of contents is going to tell us what does the book offer? What information does it have? And here we have the page numbers where we can find that information. So let's see what the table of contents. Memorial Day is here. What is Memorial Day? Who celebrates Memorial Day? Memorial Day beginnings, time to celebrate, Memorial Day traditions, glossary, to learn more, and index. So if you wanted to know what is Memorial Day, what page would you go to? Yes, good job. You would go to page 6. So let's begin. Okay, Memorial Day is here. So I want you to look at the illustrations. What do you see over here? It seems like a family, and we see the American flag here, and it seems they are in the cemetery in a grave. What do you see over here? Well, that looks like a trumpet, but it's not a trumpet. It's called a bugle. So let's begin to read. Ready? Families gather at the cemetery. They lay flowers on military graves. A bugler plays taps while people stand quietly. It is Memorial Day. So what do we see over here? And what do we see over here? Yes, it's a cemetery. That's right, with American flags. And they said that in the page that we read before, it said it was a grave of military people. That's right. And remember, there's six armed forces. I keep on saying 5 because the Space Force was just recently added. Okay, let's read. Memorial Day honors fallen soldiers of the United States. So it honors the fallen soldiers of the United States. And those fallen soldiers are soldiers who have died for us. People remember their sacrifice. For many, it also marks the start of summer. Now look at these illustrations here, these pictures. We see more American flags. Here we see a cemetery. Okay, who celebrates Memorial Day? People in the United States celebrate Memorial Day. So that means that we live here in the United States, so we celebrate it too. Other countries may also honor U.S. troops who died on their land. And here, underneath this picture, we have a caption, and it says Memorial Day celebration in France. So here in France, they also celebrate Memorial Day because in World War I and II, the United States were allied with France, so a lot of our soldiers died in France. Memorial Day beginnings. Memorial Day began in Waterloo, New York in 1866. And here's New York and here's Waterloo. And here we have the map of the world, and here it's pointing, and this part over here is the United States, and here's Waterloo. It honored those who died in the Civil War. The holiday was called Decoration Day. And here it says Civil War Battle. So it all began after the Civil War. Look at these illustrations here. We see flowers, we see our flag, we see a flag here, we see a boy saluting the American flag. Okay. Decoration Day was celebrated every May 30th for many years. People later began remembering all fallen soldiers on this day. So all fallen soldiers, it also, the American War Revolution, everyone who has fought for the United States to keep its liberty, to defend us. It was named Memorial Day in 1967. Now look at these pictures over here. More American flags. And look at this big, enormous American flag. Memorial Day now falls on the last Monday in May. So it's not anymore on May 30th. It's celebrated the last Monday in May. So that's why we're celebrating it next Monday. School closed to respect veterans. Many businesses also close for this important day. So it is a national holiday. Okay, look at these illustrations here. So it seems that they are in a grave here in the cemetery. And it seems that they're looking at pictures. And what is this? We're going to learn. Yes, it's a flower. You know what kind of flower it is? And here again, we see the American flag. Now over here, we see a family. And it seems that they're having their picnic. But before they're having their picnic, it seems that they're doing something. So let's find out. Memorial Day traditions. People decorate military graves with flags and flowers. American flags fly at half-staff until noon. Many people take a moment of silence at 3 p.m. So when you have a minute of silence, you are thinking about something. So here they are thinking about all the men who have sacrificed their lives for our liberty. Now here, what do we see over here? What are these flowers these people have? Well, let's find out. Some buy red cloth poppies on this day. They wear the flowers to remember lives lost in service. The sales help veterans. So every year, when I go to Sam's, there's a veteran who's selling poppies, and I always buy one. And here, you can see if you want to make a tissue paper poppy, it gives you the instructions of how to do it. But also, I'm going to show you a video on how to make a poppy flower. Oh, it doesn't want to pass the page. There you are. Okay, look at these illustrations. This looks good, doesn't it? That hamburger. And the hamburger has the American flag. And here we see some soldiers marching. Do you know which armed forces they are? People gather to celebrate freedom on Memorial Day. Some grill food or go to the beach. Yes, I can make a lot of connections of a lot of Memorial Days I have gone. I have celebrated too. Families watch soldiers march in parades. They remember those who died for the United States. Now here we have the glossary. So the glossary, look at the glossary. Okay, so the glossary gives us the meaning of words, and usually the meaning of words that are bold in black. And here it has to learn more, and it gives us other books that you can check out, and also it gives us websites. And here we have the index. So the index tells you If you want to know what taps are, you would go to page 5. Or if you want to know about parades, you would go to 21. And of course, all this has to do with Memorial Day. Okay, so now that you have learned, we have read an informational book about Memorial Day. You're going to write a letter. You're going to pretend to write a letter to a veteran, and you are going to thank them for what they have done. So then, if you know someone, you can give them that thank you note. Well, thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Well, I won't see you next week. I'm going to read the next video. I'm going to be reading a book about Memorial Day. And not too much about Memorial Day, but about people who serve in the military. Well, thank you and see you.